Greetings, soccer fans. Welcome to Football in the Americas, Ballchat Football in the Americas, our weekly show where we'll discuss football or soccer in our own backyard. I am Benton along with my family. Come on, how are you doing?
I'm good.
And for all of those who follow us weekly on our platform, welcome to another episode of Football in the Americas. And our engineer, our brother, a part of our family is missing today. So, Junior, take care of yourself. We'll be back. Hopefully, you'll be back next week in one piece. Come on. MLS playoff is the center stage or centerpiece of this week's discussion. The conference finals are set. The five stripe, let's start it off. The five stripe Atlanta United defeated Philadelphia. Yeah, 2-0. I mean, it was a bit nerve wracking there for me. I mean, your thoughts on that game? I thought Joseph Martinez, the so called King of the South, missed too many chances.
You're talking about him. I need to ask you what is happening about with Pity, but but yeah, he did. We know he's a goal scorer, so when he misses easy chances and great opportunities, then you kind of wonder what is going on. But he did score. I think he made up for it to put the game away. So I think Atlanta will have a good game against Toronto. I see them advancing.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they will advance. And so the game against Toronto is Wednesday, October 30th, inside the Mercedes-Benz Stadium here in Atlanta. And Ballchat will be live on location. And hopefully there will be a party atmosphere because then that game will transfer us or move us on. A victory in that game will move us on to the MLS Cup final. Come on, you brought up Pity. You were going to say something about Pity.
Pity is still looking as if he's struggling. I thought that he would have gotten his groove by now. What is going on in Atlanta?
That's it's a bit baffling for me. I mean, I thought, he did have did have an assist on the goal to Julian Gressel. I don't know. I think Frank de Boer needs him to work on both sides of the ball, but I think that you don't have many attacking options with the ball at his feet like Pity Martinez in this outfit. So I'm a little bit disappointed in the previous game or the game before the Philadelphia game that they didn't play him. That Frank de Boer didn't play him. So I I think this is probably, hopefully he will get better. He's definitely a good player going forward. He's definitely not committed to the defensive side of things. And with Joseph Martinez also not committed to the defensive side of things, I think that Frank de Boer is probably reluctant to have two lazy players who are not committed to the defensive side of things. What's your thoughts on that?
You might be right. I think your coach likes a player who is a complete player, like a Nagby on the pitch, who is not afraid to go forward and not afraid to track back. So I do see your point when it comes to Pity. He wants to maybe cherry pick a little bit, if that's how you can describe it. But I think he needs to give a little bit more on the pitch for us to see his complete game.
Yeah, for us to see his game. And mind you, this is his first year, so we'll give him some time. Maybe next year he will continue to grow and improve. But Atlanta United are now through to the MLS Cup final. Not second MLS Cup final. Second Eastern Cup final for them. Hopefully they'll be in the MLS Cup final. Before we move out west, come on. Toronto went into NYFC's home and absolutely put on a masterclass. Your thoughts on that as they defeated NYFC?
I don't think it was a master class. I think NYFC beat themselves.
Yeah?
Like the botched back pass. And they just gave Toronto too much time and too much respect on the ball.
Yeah.
So they actually helped Toronto help themselves, but I think NYCFC helped Toronto more than they should have.
Okay. And the reason why I say it was a masterclass is because we know that NYFC's strength is essentially those wide players, Mitria getting a run at the defense, and Castellano getting a run at the opponent's defense. They're very fast players. You get them in space, and they're exceptional. They didn't have that space. Craig Vanny and Toronto limited that space. Delgado and family in that midfield was very instrumental in keeping that space. to the premium or to a minimum for Toronto, for New York and NYFC on that very tiny looking field.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're correct. Um, you know,
And
I don't.
they could have
I,
gotten more. I mean, Sean
they,
Johnson was exceptional.
they should have, but Sean Johnson is what the number two goalkeeper for the U.S. national team. He's always called into camp. But I wouldn't fault Sean on this. I really wouldn't, fault him on the loss. Hopefully next season New York FC will get a feel of their own because that was terrible. It was poor.
Yeah, yeah, it was poor. It's poor. Still playing on a baseball field with mesh in the vision of the camera. The netting was still
Yeah.
in the vision of the camera. So the Eastern Conference Final is set. It's Atlanta versus Toronto. Now out west, last week you predicted Zlatan and Minnesota, Zlatan and LA to lose to Minnesota. I mean, that was wrong. We just want to put it out there. Come on. But the West is also set. We have LAFC versus Seattle. LAFC in the Mount Warden matchup against LA Galaxy came out winners. You know what 5-3 was an entertaining matchup. Your thoughts on the game and the fallout after that? Bob Bradley was a little bit ticked off with Sebastian Salazar's line of question that stormed off the interview set.
It was a very good game. It was an entertaining game. It just showed you that LAFC and LA Galaxy, they just threw defending out the window. Nobody was defending. It was a free fest, free for all. But Villa again showed why he's one of the best players, in MLS. Um, the question that was asked by Bradley was a softball question. I don't see why Bradley acted the way he did when Sebastian asked him the question.
Yeah.
Because Bob Bradley has said that before. I've seen where he has said that Villa needs to do better when it
Yes.
comes to big games.
Yes.
So this was an opportunity for him to say, but he just showed up in this big game. So
Yes.
what are you saying? So Bob Bradley can be a little bit touchy sometimes. And, after that victory, I thought he would have been a little bit more complimentary towards Villa.
Yes, 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 yes. That interview came out of nowhere. I was very surprised by his reaction in that interview and the line of questioning. And they beat a team that pretty much have given them a lot of trouble this year thus far, this year in the MLS, and to actually move on to the West Final with a chance to even build bigger things. I thought he would have focused on the positive, but he was a bit ticked off. One player I wanted to, before we get away and talk about the other matchup in the MLS, Diamande got on the field. The word was he was in treatment for a while, come on, but he came on and really made a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, he's an explosive player. He's big. And, I talk about big and fast and strong players. And he doesn't have a poor touch like Lukaku. So if he is on the pitch, you can, realize that some damage will be done. And he has a clear understanding with the other players. If you watch their games, I mean, he knows where he's supposed to be. He knows where the other players are going to be. So they really have this dynamic that translates into winning games. So, I'm happy that he went into the treatment and got whatever done and he's back contributing to the team because he was a big factor in them reaching this far.
Yeah, and he will miss, because he missed, I think, a couple sitters in that match. But he also, he scored quite a nice goal where he took the ball from about 20 yards out and pretty much just run at that LA Galaxy defense and then just chip the ball into the back of the net. So it's a mixed bag with him, but I was definitely impressed with his play. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, his tenure is over now, potentially. We will see if he will re-sign, but I doubt he will re-sign again with the Galaxy. Come on, your assessment of his time here in the MLS. He was unsuccessful. And how can a Ferrari be successful in terms of winning trophies?
He would say a lion does not care about the opinions of sheep. He brought excitement to a league that sometimes can be boring, right?
Yes.
So he made people talk about things. He made people interested in games. He lived up to his the hype. I mean, if LA Galaxy said that they didn't know about his personality before, then fire the person who scouts,
Yeah.
right? So they knew exactly what they were getting with Zlatan. This is him. I mean, this is his personality. So either you take it or you leave it.
Yeah.
In regards to him re-signing, he might just resign
Okay.
because he says that he loves living in LA.
Okay.
And if he still has the fans still love him. The only people who really hate Zlatan is the fans for other teams.
Yes, 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 yes. I mean, if
So
he's, yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. I totally agree. If he's a player that, if he's on your team, you love him. But if he's not, then you definitely don't want to go up against him.
exactly. And he has helped LA Galaxy to reach here. So, you mean, bar the off the field and the sideshow antics and all of those craziness, do you want a winning team? Is he disruptive in the locker room? Is he a good player? Is he a good person? Is he a good teammate? Those are the things that the LA organization, LA Galaxy organization should listen to, should look at, and just borrow the noise. If they can make some money off his jersey, why not?
Yeah, yeah. I think I read somewhere that his salary was $12 million a year, so that's a huge chunk of change. Highest paid player this year in the MLS, if I'm not mistaken.
They can afford it. They have the money. They can afford it.
They can afford it. All right, come on. Continuing our discussion in MLS playoff and out west, the other matchup was Real Salt Lake versus Seattle Sounders. I mean, Real Salt Lake just pretty much ran into a juggernaut, right?
They did. They had no answers for for Seattle. Seattle is just. I think they're just playing too good. I think they're seeing the finish line, and I think they decide that they're going to put it all out on the table. I must give Jordan Morris props because I don't rate him. I don't think he's that great of a football player, but he's helping his team to win. And they played good, rugged football, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, now setting up the MLS conference finals. LAFC hosts Seattle Sounders. That I think that game is what, Tuesday night? Come on, or is it Wednesday? I'm not sure. Um, um,
It's Tuesday, the 29th
okay, so it's
of
Tuesday.
October.
It's
Hmm.
Tuesday, and so the Atlanta United versus Toronto game is the 30th on Wednesday. Your thoughts, your prediction on these matchups, starting out west with LAFC versus Seattle. I mean, does Seattle have a chance going into Carson to beat LAFC?
No, not LAFC at home. No, I mean they play good football to reach here, but LAFC is just too good. You know what? Let me back up a little bit. LAFC needs to fix the defending issues. If they fix the defending issues, Seattle will have no chance. They will not even sniff at goal. But I think LAFC will have enough in the tank to beat Seattle.
Yeah, so come on, you just burst my bubble now because as an Atlanta United fan and Ballchat represents, well, two-thirds of Ballchat family represent Atlanta United because we're based in Atlanta. The other one-third represents DC United being based out there in DC. But as an Atlanta United fan, come on, the only chance to host the MLS Cup for us is that we need Seattle to win this game. This is the only chance. And you're telling me that Seattle is going to get the brakes beat off of them?
Not the brakes. Maybe just a little piece of the rubber. But yes. So I mean, why are you worrying about hosting? You should be worried about winning. Your best bet would be playing against Seattle.
Yeah,
But
yes, to win.
at this rate, at
Yes,
this
our
rate,
best bet to win is to play against Seattle, and our best
uh,
bet in our own building. I think we can match up anyone in our own building, but I don't see how we go up against an LAFC team. But we have to get there first. We have to get there first. And yes, I totally agree. I don't see how Seattle beat this Seattle beat this LAFC outfit. I think Carlos Vela, his numbers are absolutely fantastic. The team rally around him. Diomandi, I mean, the entire unit rallies to him. And so Latif Blessing, they all playing some good football. And it's going to be a difficult task for Seattle to go there and win. I guess Seattle might just need to park a bus and play.
Parking the bus will not work.
Park a
Not with
bus.
this team. Not with this team.
All right. So in the Eastern Conference final matchup between Toronto and Atlanta United, Toronto 2 years ago won the MLS Cup. Come on, Atlanta United won last year's edition of the trophy. There's rumors circulating that the Toronto of old is back, meaning that championship winning Toronto of old is back, but they have an old Michael Bradley in that midfield. How do you see this matchup playing out? I was very impressed with what Toronto did. They've been winning games on the road, and they're not shy away from going to Atlanta and trying to pick up a victory.
They've been grinding out victories and being impressive. I wouldn't agree with you when you say that they've been impressive. They've not been. They've been grinding out wins.
Yeah.
I don't see Toronto matching up with Atlanta. I don't see Toronto beating Atlanta. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I hope you're
But
not.
but I don't see Toronto matching up well with you guys.
Okay. All right. So the official prediction is Atlanta and LAFC in the MLS Cup. That's the matchup the people want to see pretty much. That's a people's final. Everyone else that doesn't live in Toronto and Seattle, that's a people's final. Some other major news in the MLS as we continue our football in the Americas. Tab Ramos is appointed the coach of the Houston Dynamo. Come on. I mean, Tab has had some success at the youth level as a coach in the American setup. Your expectation for him as he makes his transition to Houston?
Tab is a good coach. He's a good person. I expect that he will, do well at Houston. I do think he'll do well. He knows how to coach. He knows how to get results. So this is a good opportunity for him.
Yeah, very good opportunity. I'm looking forward to see exactly how he goes about it. I mean, I think he was the coach of the U20s team, the national U20s team here that made it to the U20s World Cup, and I was a little bit disappointed, but of course it was going up against another upper echelon in competition. But he's done quite well at the youth level. I'm really curious to see how he makes his jump into this managing professional men and seeing how he handles the day-to-day activities of that sort of setup. Any other major news in MLS? Wait, come on, before we even leave MLS. World Soccer Shop had some reports on the data recently from the MLS preliminary data out. The viewership is down this year. I think it was 24% in the regular season. The viewership was down 19% in the playoffs. I mean, that's not a good look, right? I mean, that's heading in the wrong direction for the MLS.
I agree with you, and that's why you need players like Zlatan to stay in the league, so people will tune in to see how he plays because there's all this talk, and he makes something into a rivalry. He's not only rivals with LAFC; he wants to be rivals with every team that they play against. So people will tune in for those things. We want to see if he can put his money where his mouth is. So we need, while the quality can be improved by getting better players, getting good fields for players to play on, you can bring players of these, like Zlatan's quality,
Yeah.
and just, the talking.
Yeah.
But you need something to stimulate MLS. I remember I mentioned that it can be boring at times.
Yes. Yeah.
This is one of the times.
Yeah. And the El Tráfico matches this year, and including this recent one, the MLS playoff, was one of the highest viewed match, highest stream, highest watch on the stream platform, and also one of the highest talked about matches on social media, as LA Galaxy and LAFC fans were going back and forth, and just Latin fans in general was going back and forth with people who was criticizing him. So I definitely agree with you. His football is good, but his also the character of who he is with the antics off the field and the chatting definitely makes for an entertaining product. Um, how do you see? So you think that he will be back next year, and if he's not back, how do you see the viewership next year potentially? Of course, we can't really predict this. Do you think that it's hard to predict this, but do you think that the numbers will restore or go back to normal next year?
I think he will stay. I think if LA Galaxy pays him the same amount of money, I mean, or maybe increase it, he will stay. In terms of viewership, they have to do something. Maybe people don't like the one and done kind of playoff format, but they have to do something to keep the numbers up. Maybe they'll bring in new players that people know. Like, oh, DC United brought in a Wayne Rooney who people know. So maybe that's what they need to do. They need to inject some life to increase the viewership. If not, then it's just not going to the work. And I think people also are complaining about not being able to watch it on TV. You had to subscribe to ESPN Plus. So that was an added expense for some,
Yes,
for some
yes, yes.
people.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And also, another thing that I'm really annoyed with is the scheduling of playoff matches, right? You have your big conference finals on a Tuesday and a Wednesday night. Do you think that have anything to do with people being turned off? You have playoff games in the middle of the week, Thursday. Only real hardcore fans are going to attend those games or even tune in, especially the next day is a work day. Your thoughts?
I agree. Absolutely agree. If DC has a game on a Wednesday, the first thing I look at is, okay, what time the game will be ending? Okay, how long will it take for me to get home? Because, you have to get home in a reasonable time, a respectable time for you to be able to go to work. And then you have to think about, maybe daycare options, those kind of things. So scheduling is also an issue. And a Tuesday and a Wednesday night is not something that you think is ideal.
Yeah, yeah. For your prime product, yeah, I mean, these are your conference finals. You think that you would you would want as many eyes on them as possible. So MLS need to do a better job with your scheduling and trying to recruit fans to your product there. Come on, as we head home and wrap up our show. Quickly, Copa Libertadores final is set. River Plate versus Flamingo is the matchup. I mean, Boca Juniors lost to River Plate. Boca Juniors seems to be a little bit at sea these days. Any thoughts on the semifinal matchup and what your thoughts for the actual final?
River Plate is my team. River Plate is my team. I just think whenever I watch these kind of games,
Yeah.
I see couple red cards in the future. It's just fast and wild and crazy. But River Plate is a good enough team to beat Flamengo. Saturday, November 23rd will actually be a date that I will definitely watch.
Yeah, yeah, should be a very good matchup. And then you don't have to worry about relocating the final anywhere like they did last year.
No, no, no. They say it won't be moved. Santiago is where it's going to be played.
Yes. That's it. Come on, any other thing that I forgot to mention in football in the Americas and discussing soccer in our backyard? Any other thing?
Well, it's being rumored that Kevin Durant wants to buy a piece of DC United. He wants to own a piece of the MLS club. I'm not sure if that's going to happen for him, but that would be a good look. He's a local boy, and for him to invest in a local club is exceptional.
Yes, that would be a good move, and I think soccer itself is getting a lot of interest from athletes in other arenas. With in the U.S. in the NBA and in football arena with enough money to spend that I think I heard somewhere about Houston. Harden was also interested in an MLS outfit also, so are partnering up. So that's a good look. I mean, I hope Kevin Durant can get some of those shares or ownership of DC United. God knows they need some help. Before we go, come on. U.S. fell in the latest FIFA ranking. Canada improved. I mean, as a fan of Jamaican football, this is good, right?
It is good. It is good. That means the rest of the world, especially Jamaica, is catching up with the USAs and the Canadas and hopefully the Mexicos of the world. So, you know, it's sad for them, for America for the USA to actually fall, but I'm very happy that Jamaica is moving up.
And we still no update on Greg Berhalter's status. Still in charge as this
Yes,
day.
it's still large and in charge.
Still large and in charge. That's it, Football in America's soccer fans. As we wrap up our show, you can link us on social media. Link us on Instagram at Ballchat Podcast. You can also connect with us on Twitter at Ballchat1. You can connect with us on Facebook at Ballchat Podcast. Email us at ballchatpodcast@gmail.com. This is a fan-friendly show, and we look forward to opinions and views of fans who want to come in and discuss soccer or call in and discuss soccer. You can also subscribe to our channel at our Facebook our YouTube platform at our Ball Chat Podcast. Atlanta United, Eastern Conference champion. Say you heard it here first. Come on, later.
All right, cool.